Good afternoon, this is Vikramaditya Ghosh and you are going through Analytics for Finance. Today we will discuss the concept of artificial neural network and the fundamentals of artificial neural network. We will also touch base upon the one of the function which is an activation function called sigmoid. So as you can see here, this is a human CNS or central nervous system architecture. These small nodes are called dendroids. They are linked to the neuron and neuron is further linked to axon. So please understand that this dendrite sends signals to neuron and neuron further sends the signal to axon. But the question is, do all signals go to axon? The answer is no. Only those signals go through neuron and ultimately to axon which has passed over the threshold. So there is a concept called threshold, activation threshold. It's like an energy, like we receive so much of information every day. Do all information excite us in the same way? I don't think so. Only certain information excite us. So that means those information are above the threshold level of activation. That is why they excite us. So those information passes on for further thought process and it goes to axon. From neuron to axon. From dendrite to neuron and neuron to axon. Neural network or artificial neural network for that matter mimics the human brain. So obviously similar thought process is used here also. So there are two inputs, x1 and x2. I'm sorry for my handwriting here. x1 gives a signal to z and x2 gives a signal to z. The weight of the x1 signal is w1. The weight of x2 signal is w2. Now what is this weight? Weight is the intensity of the signal. So whether the signal is strong or weak, the intensity of the signal is determined by the weight. So suppose if W1 is equal to 0.1 and W2 is equal to 0.4, that means W2 is greater than W1. That means the intensity of W2 is greater than W1. So when both those signals reach Z is the neuron, then the equation becomes Z is equal to X1 multiplied by W1 plus X2 multiplied by W2. So Z is equal to x1 w1 plus x2 w2 and it can pass through Z if it goes through a certain activation function. So let's consider the sigmoid activation function which hovers between 0 and 1, and the sigmoid activation function to cross that point Z will be 1 divided by 1 plus exponential minus Z. So 1 divided by 1 plus exponential minus z, that is the sigmoid function. It looks like a S. It actually looks like a S. It starts from 0 and it can maximum go to 1. So generally what happens when the sigmoid function is 0.5 and the threshold function is above 0.5, then it crosses the threshold and goes to the next point. So to cross this point Z, the sigmoid function has to be above the threshold, otherwise not. So this is the fundamental architecture of the artificial neural network. Stay tuned. So hello, we will see here various types of activation function. So in the previous video we understood that if the signal is strong enough to cross the activation threshold, it goes to the next axon or next point. So here also you can see the sigmoid function, as here you can see sigma function of x, which I have denoted as z in the previous video. So no problem, you can use x also, z also, no problem, is equal to 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus x. So sigmoid function varies between 0 and 1. You can see that 0 and 1 here. And the next function is tan h. It's basically a stretched sigmoid which is stretched in the lower side. And the tan h has got the minus 1 as the lowest point and plus 1 as the highest point. Similarly, there is also 0 and 1 more function, but which is like a 45-degree angle straight line going up. That is ReLU function between 0 and max. There is one more function which starts from below 0, some minus value. at is 0.1 x value and goes up to x, and this is called leaky ReLU, and then it becomes a 45 degree straight line goes towards up. Then there is a max out function and there is a ELU function. As you can see here, for ELU function x has to be greater than equal to 0, and for that is for the x, and for the alpha within bracket e to the power x minus 1, it is above x is lesser than 0. So that is the ELU function. After seeing so many activation functions, we may be confused and somewhat perplexed. So I thought of giving the industry best practices. So basically ReLU function or leaky ReLU function, they are nothing but various generalizations of the max out function. So max out ReLU and leaky ReLU or p-ReLU, they are almost similar, not same. And what industry does, they generally use these functions for the hidden layer activation, because they activate the hidden layers extremely well. But the learning rate has to be slow, because if the learning rate is high, then there could be the dead units increasing. Dead units means if the learning rate is too fast, then lot of the units it won't cross, it will just cross over. It will not take the input from those units, it will just cross over. It will seem that it has taken the input, but it will not. So those are called dead units. So basically the activation, the learning rate has to be optimum. So around 0.2, 0.3, something like that. You cannot put a learning rate of 1.0 for this kind of work. Then another important thing is there, sigmoid and hyperbolic tangent, they are difficult to be used if you have multiple layers. So if you have multiple layers of hidden networks, then it is better not to use sigmoid or hyperbolic tangent, or basically tan H function. Hyperbolic tangent is tan H function, because the gradient will vanish. Okay, vanishing gradient problem. What happens? The gradient descent happens, means the error is reported from the output to input, and as error is reported in the back propagation from output to input, then the error gets reduced every time it gets reported. So that is the gradient descent concept. But the gradient descent concept will vanish in these cases if there are too many hidden layers. Suppose if there are 5 or 6 hidden layers and one input layer, one output layer, then by the time the output gives the error function report to the input, what happens? That the gradient function or the gradient descent will vanish. So that will incur lot of your time of processing will go up and your errors will go up. So that is why tan H and sigmoid you avoid when it is more number of data, hidden data sets or hidden layers are inside. If the hidden layers are less, probably you can use it. So this is the industry best practices that I have given. Thank you for observing so far. Please wait, because we are coming to show you the construction and how the different nodes and how the signals move. As you can see here, this particular thing, the neural network structure in front of your eyes, you will see the inputs. So 3 and 5, these are inputs. So this particular direction from 3 to this hidden layer, this 3W11, that is basically the weight of this signal which goes here. And from this hidden layer, so a lot of signals come in this hidden layer. 2 signals are coming. One is from 3W11, that is this signal. Second is 5W21, that is this signal, 5W21. So as I told in this video in the beginning, that Z1 is basically equal to 1 and 2, these 2 signals. So this is the amalgamation of the signal. Okay, then finally it processes A11, which comes out with a different W11 weight, and A11 is nothing but a function of this Z1. So this Z1, A11 is a function, so that comes to the output. So it's a simple thing. This layer is called 111. That means one input layer, one hidden layer, one output layer. So we call it 1-1-1 structure. And similarly here, let's consider this middle hidden layer. It is getting here 3W12 that is coming from here, and this one is coming. This is 5W22. This is coming. So obviously Z2 is equal to 3W12 plus 5W22, and A12 is a function of Z2. So this is coming with a different weightage W12. So ultimately here in the output, all these output things are all functions of this A11 W11, A12 W12 and A13 W13. But remember, whether input to hidden layer the signal will come or not, it will depend upon the sigmoid or ReLU or max out or hyperbolic, that is tan H function, basically based on activation function. So if signal is lesser than the activation function, then this whole thing will not come at all. But if signal is more than the activation function, then only it comes. Now one more thing is not shown here, that is the back propagation. This is called the forward pass. So forward pass means input to output. So input to output, the processing of signal is called forward pass. But what is back propagation? Suppose we take a hot cup of tea early in the morning, our eyes are half closed, half open, and we take the cup closer to our mouth, then we get the feel of the heat, extreme heat, and obviously the cup goes away. That means our hand goes away. So that is because of back propagation of the error. So the error has to go from output to input. So here output is our hand, rather output is our mouth, and it tells us, our brain, that you take the cup away. So brain tells our hand to take the cup away, so the cup goes away. So that is very important, that error correction. So the error, and next day what happens? Next day morning when we again get up, the cup comes closer to the mouth, but it doesn't go so close because the brain already have learned from the past. So that is the learning exercise. Okay, so brain learned from the past, and brain said, no, this is too hot, the hand, you don't take the cup closer to the mouth, keep it a little away, a little safer distance. So that is the concept of this back propagation and error correction. So the error should not be ideally be repeated again and again, then there is no point of correction. So that is the concept. Okay, so that part is not shown here. There it will be reverse. It is a forward pass here. There back propagation means from output the error will go to input. And how output to input errors will be reduced? Errors will be reduced by the method of, only one method is there for error reduction, gradient descent. Gradient descent. So gradient means suppose delta x. So error was x. So x minus delta x. Again second time, x minus 2 delta x. Again third time, x minus 3 delta x, like that. Nth time, x minus n delta x. So like that the gradient descent will work and the error will come down, and we will reach a situation where the error will be extremely negligible, closer to 0. Thank you for watching.